Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In the previous video, we have discussed about the President of India, their role, power, oath-taking, affirmations, terms and tenure of his or her office, vested in the Constitution of India under the Part 5 of the Union Executive. Carrying on with the same, today discussing about the Vice President of India, their role, power, oath-taking, affirmations described in the Constitution of India under the section the Union Executive. The Constitution of India describes as the constitutional body the three main parts: the President of India, the Vice President of India, and the Government of India. Three main form of bodies that togetherly form the constitutional body as per the Constitution of India. The Indian Constitution describes that there shall be a Vice President of India. The Vice President to be ex officio Chairman of the Council of Ministers. The Vice President shall be ex officio Chairman of the Council of States and shall not hold any other office of profit, provided that during any period when the Vice President acts as President or discharges the function of President under Article 65, shall not perform the duties of the office of Chairman of the Council of States and shall not entitled to any salary or allowance payable to the Chairman of the Council of States under Article 97. The Vice President to act as President ought to discharge this function during casual vacancies in the office or during the absence of President. The Constitution of India describes in the event of the occurrence of any vacancy in the office of the President by reason of his or her death, resignation, or removal, or otherwise, the Vice President shall act as President until the date on which a new President elected in accordance with the provision of chapter to fill such vacancy enter upon his or her office. Secondly, it describes when the President is unable to discharge his or her function owing to absence, illness, or any other cause. The Vice President shall discharge his or her function until the date on which the President resumes his or her duties. The third part that describes the Vice President shall, during and in respect of the period while he or she is so acting as or discharging the function of President, have all the powers and immunities of the President and be entitled to such emoluments, allowances, and privileges as may be determined by Parliament by law, and until provision in that behalf is so made, such emoluments, allowance, and privileges as specified in the second schedule. Now, moving towards the most important part provided in the Constitution of India, the election of the Vice President. The Indian Constitution describes as the Vice President shall be elected by the member of the Electoral College consisting of the members of both houses of parliament in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, and voting at such election shall be by secret ballot. The secondly that describes the vice president shall not be a member of either house of parliament or of a house of the legislature of any state. And if a member of either house of parliament or of a house of legislature of any state be elected vice president, he or she shall be deemed to have vacant his or her seat in that house on the date on which he or she enter upon his or her office as vice president. The thirdly that describe no person shall be eligible for election as vice president unless he or she is a citizen of India, has completed the age of 35 years, is qualified for election as a member of Council of States. A person shall not be eligible for election as vice president if he or she holds any office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state or under any local or other authority subject to the control of any of the governments. For the purpose, a person shall not be deemed to hold any office of profit by reason only that he or she is the president or the vice president of the union or the governor of any state or is a ministry either for the union or for any state. Nextly, moving towards the term of office of vice president. The Indian Constitution describes the vice president shall hold office for a term of 5 years from the date on which he or she enters upon his or her office, provided that a vice president may be writing under his or her hand addressed to the president resign his or her office. A vice president may be removed from his or her office by a resolution of the Council of States passed by a majority of all then members of the council and agreed to by the House of the People, but no resolution for the purpose of this clause shall be moved unless at least 14 days notice has been given for the intention to move the resolution. A vice president shall not withstand the expiration of his or her term continue to hold office until his or her successor enter upon his or her office. Time of holding election to fill vacancy in the office of vice president and the term of office of person elected to fill casual vacancy. An election to fill a vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of office of vice president shall be completed before the expiration of the term. An election to fill a vacancy in office of vice president occurring by reason of his or her death, resignation or removal or otherwise shall be held as soon as possible after the occurrence of the vacancy, and the person elected to fill the vacancy shall, subject to the provisions of Article 67, be entitled to hold office for the full term of 5 years from the date on which he or she enter upon his or her office. Oath or affirmation by the vice president. Every vice president shall, before entering upon his or her office, make a subscribe to behalf by him or her an oath affirmation in the following form, that bear true faith and solemnly affirmation allegiance to the Constitution of India by law established, and that will faithfully discharge the duty upon which he or she about to enter. Discharge of President function in other contingencies. Parliament may make such provision as it thinks fit for the discharge of the function of the President in any contingency not provided for this. Matter related to or connected with the election of the President or Vice President. All doubts and disputes arising out or in connection with the election of the President or Vice President shall be inquired into the decided by the Supreme Court, whose decision shall be final. If the election of a person as President or Vice President is declared void by the Supreme Court, acts done by him or her in the exercise and performance of the power and duties of the office of President or Vice President, as case may be, or before the date of decision of the Supreme Court, shall not be invalidated by reason of that declaration. Subject to the provision of the Constitution, Parliament may be law regulate any matter relating to or connected with the election of a President or a Vice President. The election of a President or a person as a President or Vice President shall not be called in question on the ground of the existence of any vacancy for whatever reason among the members of the electoral college elected him or